Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Transport Fever 2. Coming at you with more of our Dedication Island series, which has been going fantastic, and I really do hope that you guys are enjoying it. If you are, do not forget to subscribe to the series if you haven't already, and of course, like all the videos and help us out with more exposure on the YouTubes. So, in our last episode, we spent most of our time carefully optimizing our transportation lines for the production and distribution of our very first manufactured good, which of course was tools. And since then, I did manage to spend a little bit of time adding in 3 more trains to our lines in order to ensure that the distribution of these goods was optimized. And one of those trains went on the plank delivery line. So we now have 2 trains bringing the planks from this station in Joshland down to Shepland, where the tools are made. And then we also added 2 more trains to the line bringing the tools from Shepland all the way across to Rangerton. And now, if you take a look, you can see that the Tools to Rangerton line now has a rate of 85, which is pretty good. It's not quite going to fulfill the Rangerton, fill Rangerton's desires completely. Their demands are going to be a little bit higher than that. And I think the solution to that is going to be to actually lengthen the 3 trains that we have as opposed to adding more. As you can see here, we've only got 6. These locomotives aren't quite so powerful that I think that they could pull a lot more than this, but I think I'm going to take a look into maybe adding 2 or maybe even 4 more to this in order to get our our transportation capacities up, so that Rangerton can fully fulfill their demands, which is currently up to 118 tools. So right now we can kind of fulfill about 65 to 70% of their demands. If we just lengthen those trains by 2 or 3 each, I think we could probably get right around to the number we need. But I'm not going to worry a whole lot about that. That line's running really smooth right now, and I'm just going to let it go ahead and keep making us money. As you can see here, it is quite the money maker. The 2 train lines bringing planks to the tools factory and tools to the Rangerton depot, those are making us in the vicinity of $1.5 to $2 million right now, which is fantastic. You add to that our PAX line going from Dostopia to Dediopolis, making us another $300,000, and close to $200,000 bringing the logs down from up here down into the sawmill, and a number of pretty well optimized lines moving people from town to town on express carriage lines. We have a really nice consistent income. Our money's going really quickly. In fact, I've very quickly been able to actually pay off a bunch of our loans again. While I was putting those on, the money's just rolling in. I've already paid off another $4 million, so that gives us the money to set up some more lines, which I would like to do. But before we do, there's a couple of other things I'd like to discuss, and really, I feel like it's time to just lay out the plans for the whole map and discuss what you guys are going to see in the coming episodes as we begin to implement all the industries and start to move things around. So one of the reasons I want to set it up like this is that it's good to have an idea of where things are going to go, where things are going to move, the flow of goods is going to be, so that you can think ahead of time on the most optimal places to put tracks and the directions to put stations and kind of coordinating that kind of stuff. So let's do that. Let's talk about it, and then maybe you guys can jump in the comments and discuss the ideas. If there's things you'd like to move and change, like, hey, I'd like to see you do this instead. Maybe we can discuss ideas for how to change things around. So let's do this. As you guys know, obviously, we just discussed it. This is where we bring the wood in from all over the lands and produce planks in Joshland. So there's their specialization. Okay. Eventually, I could see at least 1, maybe 2 more of these in and around this area, in the industrial area, producing the planks and even having their own specialized train yard and depot built into here, where this would be like basically where all the things planks happen and then distributed in and out. So I could see that happening for sure in this area. And of course, obviously, we have the tools. I think at the very least, we'll probably want one more tool factory. And I think just right on the other side of this road is be perfect, right in by this train yard. Perfectly connects like this one does here to this train. So we'll have another one there. And then it would leave all kinds of room. What we could do is straighten out these rows a little bit, sorting them out, and the residential can continue to just kind of disperse along this line and towards the water, and then the industrial can kind of scoop up through here and maybe even wrap around, which would be really nice, is if the industrial just kind of wrapped around those two tools factories. I think that's kind of what I want, is to have them really well incorporated in a lot of cases, the factories. So I think that's going to work really well in Shepland. But what other things do we need to do? Well, we've already kind of discussed, and I think it's definitely going to happen, is what I'd like to do is produce the goods in Rangerton. Part of the reason for that is once we can get it up and running, I will be able to do some double dipping. And as you guys probably know, if you've been playing this game, Transport Fever 2 has a little bit more difficulty than you did in the first Transport Fever of creating double dipping lines, because there's not as many goods going to as many places. And you don't have cows to double dip with your food on the food lines. There's just kind of changes in what you can do and where, and it just kind of makes it more difficult. So whenever you can find ways to do double dip lines, it feels pretty good. So what we can do is, if we can produce goods in this city, they can be brought right back on the same train line we've already set up in Shepland for tools, and that would give the goods to Shepland. And also, it's not too far to get to the goods demands here. And finally, there's goods demanded over here. By the way, I noticed just before I started streaming, I don't know how I didn't notice this already, but I noticed that these guys both needed goods, and that made sense to make Rangerton make the goods. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, they actually both need fuel. Okay, so they both need the exact same thing. And then I'm like, where's the other one that needs goods? And sure enough, this guy needs goods. So I was kind of like, oh, it also needs fuel. And so there's 3 cities in a row I didn't even notice that need both the exact same things. So what we can do is, once we produce the goods, we can, of course, have a direct line to Joshland, and then the double dip line to Shepland, and then perhaps just have a line that comes to what would probably long term be some sort of a harbor in this area, which will distribute goods. And so what we could do is bring potentially goods from a couple or 3 other locations into here, and then those goods can be distributed across to this island. Potentially. That's, setting things up. So that'll actually work really, really well. I think that's going to be nice. So we'll actually have most of the goods just coming straight down this line, distribute, and then across and distribute. So I'm pretty happy with that. Definitely think that's going to work really well. And of course, the other goods are meant to go down to Druidville. So again, that'll be just another direct line down here. So this would be a good spot. It'd be a smart decision for someone to open up factory lines, making goods, considering how many people are close by demanding them. So that's where that's going to go. And then you had to think, okay, well, in order to make goods, we need steel and plastic. That's a lot of work. So not necessarily going to happen in the next couple episodes, but certainly before long, I'd like to get this going. And that requires making a steel town and a plastics town. And I don't think there's any doubt that steel town is going to be Curryburg. There's tons of coal and iron in the area to produce all the steel. So Curryburg will be forever known as Steel Town, which kind of is fitting because Pittsburgh is known as Steel Town IRL. So you've got Pittsburgh and you've got Curryburg, and we're going to produce the steel. And what we can do is, I think because of the location of the industrial area in Rangerton, it would make a lot of sense to have the industrial goods come up into this area. So a train yard that comes into the industrial zone where we can make the goods makes a lot of sense. So a train line that would come kind of skirt through that little peninsula thing there and just come across here and up. And then boom, you've got your you've got your steel, and then of course we need plastics. And I think what I'm going to do for plastics is kind of stems off an idea I have for where we're going to do our oil and fuel. I kind of like the idea of making the fuel out on this island, and then the fuel has to be distributed. So the refined oil needs to be brought into Henduniopolis by boat and then distributed back out on boat. And how that exactly will happen, we'll have to sort out. But I like the idea of actually producing the oil up here. There's a number of crude oil locations. There's 2 here and a 3rd there. There's also some over here that we could potentially even ferry across at some point if we need enough. So that can occur here. And then it makes sense to have the oil come down, the refined oil come down to produce the fuel. And then most of the guys who need fuel are over in here, obviously. In fact, they're all right here. So my thought is potentially choosing a location, perhaps even in here. We could put a little harbor in here, and this would be basically the fuel distribution harbor. So we would have the fuel come out of Henduniopolis, boat across here, create that harbor, and then just have distribution lanes that take it to the different locations. So perhaps we'd have a train line going here anyway, so we could just catch onto that train line and take the fuel down. And of course we already have train lines going here, so we could potentially bring a train line and connect it into this train line and have the fuel brought down this way. And I believe the last one is all the way across here. Long term, we could even do something crazy and open up a canal in here and just have it literally just take the fuel all the way around. That would be like down the road when we've got really nice tankers that can just take lots of quantity, and we could just find a way to make money on a line like that. Right now, it would obviously be completely silly, but yeah, might be an idea just to kind of bring it all the way around. So that's the plan. Refine the oil, refine the fuel, and distribute it from perhaps a harbor in this area across the lands. And that means that the steel's coming in, and that means we need plastics. And it certainly makes a lot of sense then to make the plastics in a relatively central location, because we need oh no, you only need plastics for one thing, I suppose. I was thinking maybe you needed it for 2, but I guess you don't. You just need them for the one thing, is for goods. So, but yes, so it also makes sense because we could very quickly distribute the refined oil down to the factories in Kinsho Town to make the plastics, and then the plastics would be quite close by to Rangerton. So Kinsho to Rangerton, bada bing, bada boom. And we would just have to find a way, perhaps since it's going to be here, what we could actually do is maybe have the train line come down this way. And it would kind of slide in to a through station in here. It would come down into here, and then that way both the plastics and the steel get brought into this area and the goods are produced. And then what we would probably do is have some sort of a road network up through the industrial area, which could hook up to the train lines in here. And that's where we would send the goods down this line to the 3 towns in the distance that need it. And then, of course, this town would need it, so we could just we'll eventually have rail coming down here, so that would be a quick distribution there. So that leaves just a couple of other things. We've already discussed, of course, the food being made in Druidville. It makes a lot of sense on a couple of points. First of all, there's a bunch of farms in the area, which is obviously optimal. And we can produce the food close by and then distribute it wherever we need to. Of course, we need it over here and a bunch in the north. But the other thing that makes a lot of sense for that is Druid, who's a fantastic fella. He is a big fan of farming simulator games, and I've spent probably a few hundred hours by now enjoying farming simulator games with Druid. Farming Simulator 17 and 19, we played a lot of time on that. So to have him work in the fields and making the food makes a lot of sense. It does my heart a lot of good to know that's happening. So then what? What else is left? Well, obviously there's 12 towns and there's only 10 manufacturing things to do. there is the six goods, of course. There's the planks. There's the refinement of oil. There is the production of steel. And there's the making of the plastic. So the six goods plus the four sub goods is 10, and we have 12 towns. So we have to choose 2 towns, which will be affectionately known as tourist land. And so what other place would you want to have as a tourist spot than Beerland? And there's also kind of thematic, because it makes a lot of sense to make a place like this into like a touristy spot, because it's like surrounded by water, nice little peninsula. One thing I was actually thinking about, what would actually be fantastic for this game if they could ever mod it in or somehow make it a thing, is to actually physically make a tourist demand within a city, so that more people will have an increased demand to want to actually go there. Because you could actually picture it here. Like you could do like a really cool marina and aquarium kind of thing down in here. You could do like a zoo or something. You could have like stadiums and theaters and stuff in the downtown area somewhere. You could put in a big airport. I'm going to put in a couple of later on in this episode. We're going to do a couple of marinas for the or harbors, whatever you want to call them. Harbors to bring people from Morphous City in, and also to bring in people from Brompton, just like that. So we're going to set those up later in the stream, so that we have, because it's basically, I want to get people moving in every city, and we've put this off for a while, so now we're going to do it a little bit more complete. We'll have people moving in every city. So that means that we have one city here and one city here that's going to be tourist town. And I think this makes sense as a tourist town as well, because it kind of looks, it's kind of a cool looking city. It's kind of crammed in. There's not a whole lot of room to put industry in anyway. It's got some kind of funky little islands. Looks like a place you'd want to visit. So this is going to be another touristy town. And what I'm essentially going to do in order to maximize the touristiness of these is I'm going to make sure that there's a lot of opportunity for people to actually get to them. So I'm going to have ferry lines coming from as many places as possible into Dogetopia. We'll, of course, have great big airport in both cities going back and forth to one another, as well as to other cities. And therefore, they won't be left out as a manufacturing town. They'll just simply be touristy places that people want to go. So that would be that. And so all we'd be left with at that point is 2 other things to do. Every other city's got something they're doing. We have steel, we have food, we've got goods, lumber, we've got the parts, of course, we have the oil, the plastics, and the fuel. And I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a fair amount of stone in this area that we could truck it up to Brompton and produce the construction materials here, and then they'll be distributed out. And then that would leave one more thing, and that is, of course, what we like to call in our community the settings, aka machines. And the machines will be produced in Dediopolis, which will create a little bit of fun in the fact that because it's on an island, we're going to have to do a lot of shipping on boats as well. So that can be one of the things we do later on. We can actually ship the steel up through this little canal here. Well, I guess it's not a canal, but a little passageway into this bay and into a nice big harbor that we can produce in Dediopolis in order to bring the steel up here to produce the machines, as well as the lumber, which will need to come from Joshland. So again, that's more stuff we can bring to the big harbor here, ship it to this harbor here, and produce. And then, of course, once the settings are done, we can have them slide down here, obviously, to Dogetopia, and then we can actually ship them via boat into Brompton. And what we could actually do, based on where they're needed, we could actually put a bit of a harbor here and distribute them to these 2 cities that are there, and then the settings can come right back, possibly even double dipping the boat settings back into this harbor, and then sent down to Rangerton. So that'd be another train line that can head to Rangerton. And I really feel like this line here is going to be so busy. We actually might end up producing an entire other line, maybe not even perfectly adjacent to it, but just a goods kind of a industrial line that just comes separately and parallel to it, that we can just have extra people, because I feel like by the end there's just going to be way too many trains on these two tracks to make it work. So another whole line that dissects this map seems like it's going to make a lot of sense in the future. So that's the plans. I hope you guys are excited, because I am. That's pretty much what we're going to do. We have a general plan of what every city is going to specialize in, and that is pretty exciting. So I hope you guys are looking forward to it. And I guess we should probably do things as well in this episode, since, you know, that's what we do around here. So like I was saying, I want to do a couple of harbors in here. I want to do one on this side, one on this side. And I want to do another one down here close to Brompton, where we could shuttle people in. And we'll put one in here. And I may have to just do a little bit of... let me think. How am I going to do this? Just a little bit of terraforming in order to have a passage through here. I don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money this early on, but I just want to drop it down enough, not only so that it's possible for it to get through, but so that it looks like it makes sense that it's getting through. I don't want it to look like it would high point or something and not even have a chance to get through. So yeah. Make that go like that. And that's not too bad, actually. I think that's actually good right now. It looks like it makes sense that people can get through there. Once I have more money and I feel like actually spending more money, then maybe I'll actually like legit flatten that out into deep sea. But it looks like it's good enough. And so that means there'll be some harbors. So let's just get the harbors placed down here. So we got passenger harbor. And this is the industrial area, so it doesn't look like makes a lot of sense to have something here like this. But the people are going to get here one way or another. We're going to need to borrow some money, obviously, too, by the way. So let's go ahead and borrow. Let's just borrow all the money for now, so we're not going back and forth. A harbor. So something out here makes sense. What else could we do? We could potentially put it down here more and do something like that. Or we could put it... Yeah, I guess it's got to go in here somewhere. Let's just go ahead and put it in as best a location as we can. Jeez. Some wild looking areas. Ducks, not navigable waters. I guess it's just going to be down at the end of this area here. I'm not a huge fan of the idea of it being at the end of the industrial zone, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Let me go ahead and do some road networking in here. Spend a little bit of money on roads. Collision. What is it colliding with? Just the water? Well, just make a road over the water. Why can't you just do that? Can I actually flatten that out, maybe? Let me go like this. Like this. It doesn't actually let me do that. Or... Oh, there we go. Maybe that'll do it. And then smooth it out. Like that. And then I think we could probably get that road across there without the quote unquote collision. Like that. So let me go ahead and go like that and like this and see what it looks like now. Like that. And like that. I don't mind that. And then we can put... Oh, that's a lot of money. Oh, it's because we're deleting some stuff there. The building is getting removed. Well, it's going away one way or another. 150,000. One way or another, it's going away. So let me just go ahead and put the road in. Not that on that angle, though. There we go. And something like that. And what I can do is kind of make it kind of sit back in here as best we can. And it'll just kind of be a nice little beachy area in and around it, and it'll look pretty good. And then we can have bus lines that could actually come in here and do that. So let's do that. And we'll throw down the harbor. And again, we're just gonna kind of line this up as best we can. And don't cram it in there though, you know. I like it. And we could potentially in the future kind of make it a little bit bigger. We have some space we can add on to it and stuff like that. But for now, this is good. Come in like that. And they will shoot. This actually just noticed here. This is actually quite small here, but I think it's good enough. That'll definitely be able to get through there. So we need a couple of harbors in here, one on each side. And I think I like this area right here quite nicely for it. So let's go ahead and flip this bad boy around. You know what? I have an idea. Let me delete that road. Let me add this road in. Wait, what? What? Why is that removing buildings? Explain yourself, game. 4 buildings will be removed. Say what? Are you kidding me? All right. The plan was to have a road across here, put the harbor in there. What I'm going to do instead is maybe make a road that swings around like this. So let me put a road in here that the harbor goes on. And go like this. It's like no matter what you do with this road, it wants to delete all these buildings. It's insane. All right, it's not a big deal. I'm going to let the game sort this out. It's going to look funky, but I don't even care. And again, just kind of in this little area, place down this harbor. And we're going to do something over here with the same idea. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Makes me nervous now, the way this city's acting. I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm thinking I want to get a road like this. And then put in another harbor. Collision. Is that too close? put it kind of down there. In here, it's saying it's colliding. I guess that's because it's not out enough. I guess as we're close enough to the road, it's saying it's okay. Let me just make sure we're lined up with the road nicely here. We are. And kerplunk. Oh, that's kind of Uggs. That's something I'll deal with in the future. It's not terrible, but it's not good. I don't really know why I did that. I guess because it's not that deep here. In fact, I almost feel like this would make good for a harbor that sticks out because it's actually a little close. I'm just gonna leave it for now. I'm okay with it. And then over here, we need another road, of course. We're going to need to extend a road all the way down. Why would that not come off of there straight? It's a perfectly straight road. Oh, I guess because this one here, this is actually gets turned. The game decided to make a perfectly straight road and at the very last second start bending it in the different direction. Genius. I'll bring that road down to there. And I'm going to put a road across here like this, which is not even close. Perpendicular to that one. All right, that's getting pretty close to perpendicular there, I think. Now maybe a touch up. Complete that. And passenger, is that not going to work? Dock not, oh. Now it'll work. Is that square? I think it's as square as it's going to get. Right there, yeah. And then we'll just snuggle that in along there. And again, we have another ferry pier. So we have 4 ferry piers, and now we just need boats on them. Let's create the lines first. New line. I'm going to go from there to there. Another new line from there to there. And I do like the idea of making the ferry lines. I need to actually spend some time choosing colors for different types of passenger lines, but I do like the idea a lot of having the ferry lines be some sort of aqua color. Kind of makes sense. So we have 2 lines. We can go ahead and name them. That's going to be ferry line going from, I guess we'll start with Beerland as the first one. So that's Beerland to, oh wait, the first one was to Morphus Land, right? We did the one on the left first. So that's that. That's line 1. And then this is the other line here. Yeah. So this one would be ferry Beerland to Brompton. There. Rearland to Brompton. So we have the lines done. Now we need a logical, sensical, magical place to put place. We could put it off the pier here. How big is this bad boy anyway? Not too bad. Where's the front door? This side. I kind of like the idea of maybe sticking it off the end here. Or maybe in here. I know, I'm agonizing over a decision that's really not that important, but what are you going to do? That's where it lives. And because it would drive me crazy to not have a road connecting this thing, I'm going to make a road connecting it. Like that. And now this city will have to form around the idea of having a road like that. And then perhaps it'll grow big enough to come down in here and make some nice beachside housing. So, there you go. Time to buy the boats. This bad boy right here, I'm going to buy 2 of them. 1 for each line. And then the only thing left to do is set up a manner in which people can get to each of these. So we'll put a bus here, and we'll put, it really drives me nuts that this isn't connecting, because it's going to be, we're going to have to come all the way around here to get the bus in. Hopefully the game will sort itself out, but put a bus there, and we'll put a bus there, and we will put a bus there, and of course we'll have to come in and around. And so Brompton, which doesn't have anything yet, we'll put the bus line somewhere like this. So there, bang bang. Beerland's got 1 here, 1 here. So we'll need 1 central that I can get to. And I think I will have it go right here. Like that. It goes up, turn around. And then I'm not sure if I actually want a road depot. If I actually want 1 line going back and forth to each, or have a line that goes probably 2 different lines, I think, to be honest with you. For now, anyway, the way the city's laid out, it only makes sense, because there's no point in going up and back, and then like it's just kind of repeating itself too much. Just 2 different lines, I think, makes the most sense. And like I said, we need a depot. Anything happening to that road destroys everything. It's so weird. Let's just put the depot in here like this. And we'll need a depot over here. Once again, square it off, tuck it in, slap it down. And we actually have one in Morristown, I think, so that's okay. We already have this here as well. So, whoops. So this line, let's go bang, bang like that. We actually don't reach that with this line, unfortunately. I may have to move this. I'm not going to worry about that at this very moment, because all I want to do is set up some lines. 1 here. Not orange. Let's make it green for now. This is the Morphus. Sorry, this is going to be bus. Morphus. Just try to keep the name shorter. Morphus to Ferry. Like that. We need 2 lines in here. New line there to there, which will be, let's go, oh, this is gonna be tough because there's gonna be the same thing. Bus Beerland to... I'm going to call that Ferry East and Ferry West. So, not two. Ferry East. Make these green right now. And another new line from here to here. Different shade of green. And this is going to be called Bus Beerland. Sorry, Beerland to Ferry West. Like that. And one more time. New line from here to here. And this is going to be called Brompton. Oh, sorry, Bus Brompton to Ferry. So now we have the people getting to the ferries. We have the ferry line set up. Now it's just a matter of getting the vehicles on them and going. We already have the ferries started. We just need the buses. Okay, so let's go like this. Oops. Let's go like this. And let's do it one at a time. So but by two in here, one for each of these lines, Ferry East and Ferry West. And let's go ahead and just press play, get things moving. So this lines can start to generate. And then we're gonna go in here and buy a vehicle and put that on the bus Morphus to Ferry. And in here, bus by, and that's going to be Brompton to Ferry. Like that. So we'll start getting people moved to here. What's going to be good, I think, about these is Brompton and Beerland in particular have no other options for public transportation except to get on ferries now. So these people have no other, so they're aching to go somewhere. For 19 years, these people have been aching to go anywhere other than down the street. And now they have the option to get on a bus, take that to the ferry, jump on a ferry, and go to far off distant lands. A magical land called Beerland. So it should be absolutely working well for us. People should start to pile up. I'm actually going to go ahead and grab two more people in here. One for each of these lines. Like that. And of course, obviously, Morphus City, has the option of coming down here to Kinshotaki. But I think we're still going to have quite a bit of demand for these guys to jump on ferries to Beerland as well. So Morphus to Ferry. And get another one going on over here. And this is Brompton. So down here where we have this ferry going, I actually only have one boat. And it's actually working much better with just the one boat. Even though it's got a really bad frequency number, the ferry is actually working quite well financially because we're only paying the expenses for one. And he's making relatively full trips. Before we were making 20, 25, maybe 30 per trip. But now this one guy is picking up anywhere from 40 to 50 people and making the trip. And so even though we're not getting quite as much done, like we're not getting quite as many people transported total, it's still a pretty good number and it's actually profitable. Once the boats are a little bit faster, then it might make sense to have a second one and get the frequency up and make the trips more frequently and better. Over here, because they don't have options, right? Those other two cities I was just showing you there, they have options to go on trains or on other things elsewhere. And these guys, especially here, don't have any other options. So I'm wondering if this isn't going to be just ridiculously popular. And if it is, then there's a good chance that I might actually need, even though it's a short trip, we could actually have a couple of them going potentially, even though they have really high capacity. It's about to see. I haven't played along with the ferries barely at all in this game, so it's certainly a learning experience for me as well. I'm going to go ahead and put a third on this guy here in Brompton. Better to have one extra going early on to get going and get the line moving and get the ferries filled up. So one more time, I'm going to go with one more on each of these. So that should put 3 on each. Should be a pretty good number, I think, there now. And then over here, how many people we got in there? Not a lot of people trying to head to the ferry yet, but pretty short route there. I have 2 on it. Let's just go ahead and keep the 2 on it. This guy's coming in here. He's going to pick up a whack at smacking 7 people. And this line's up. So I think I've got these lines fairly well optimized and going. The ferries should, after a while, start to have a pretty good load. We'll be able to check in on the financials there. But these guys up here in the north finally have a place to go, and aren't they just happy about it? Money is flowing. I'm actually going, I didn't need anywhere near as much money as I thought I would. So again, just repay, just keep the loans as low as you can whenever you're not spending money to save on interest. Only makes sense. All right, that's it. We were a little bit over on this one. Trying to keep them in the 40-minute range, but they keep going to 45 and 46 and more. So I hope you guys are enjoying. We've got a lot of plans. I hope you guys are pumped up and ready for this series to evolve and shape into what we have discussed here today. Do not forget, please, it makes so much difference for you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can come back every day and watch these videos and try somehow to get YouTube to bring more eyes to our channel and get more hype going on these videos. So thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. It really does. Do not forget, if you ever want to come see us live and in person, you can check us on twitch.tv/Normulator. Monday to Friday, sometimes even on Saturdays. So, yeah, maybe we'll see you there. Definitely, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.